Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. Got my new righteous hashtag BadAss, be relentless hat on this morning. When you upgrade to diamond level newsletter, or you subscribe this month to my Michael McLean newsletter, diamond level, I will ship you one of these BadAss babies. They aren't sold anywhere, and they will be a collector's item, at least in my own mind. Go to michaelmcleanletter.coach. michaelmcleanletter.coach. Upgrade to Diamond. Subscribe to Diamond newsletter this month. I have only 15 of these things, these hats, these caps. So if you want one, do it now. michaelmcleanletter.coach. So, great story to share this morning. One that completely transformed my daughter's life, our family's life. I owe a debt of gratitude to the great Matt Fury, aka El Furcat, one of the few men that I follow. I have been reading Matt's newsletter for over a decade. I've read every single book that he's written. I have been a student of his email teachings. I have heard him speak live at the Info Marketing Convention back in the day in Atlanta. Of course, I'm on his email list. I watch his YouTube's teachings. But the most important thing, the greatest gift that Matt Fury ever gave our family and my daughter Emery, was his teachings in his combat for conditioning for kids. Combat conditioning for kids. And even El Furcat has no idea the life-changing impact that he's had on our family. I took the time about a year ago to write Matt and let him know how much of a lifesaver he was during the China virus in Canada. We were in a situation, it was the second year of the pandemic and the restrictions. You have to understand, in Canada we have the nuclear winters where it's winter for a good 6 to 8 months a year. So not only do you have the lockdowns and you have the restrictions for our children, for our elderly, for everybody in society, it was one of the most challenging times we ever went through as a family. And admittedly, my wife Krista and I were becoming very concerned, very scared about what was happening to our 7-year-old daughter at the time. Emery was 7 years old, and she, like most kids, was normally a pretty active child when all this began. She was involved in all kinds of sports. She was part of an outstanding school in our community. She was, skating, playing hockey, playing tennis. She was, playing chess. She was a pretty social kid. And she was out and about every day. And when the pandemic hit, We were able to roll with the punches, stay active, stay outside. It wasn't long till it was spring, and then summer we were out boating and water skiing. So we got through that pretty well unscathed. She was able to see some of her friends in the summer months. And then the second term, or the second year, whatever the fuck you want to call it, when the lockdowns happened, the second time through, it was after Christmas in 2021, where I was picking up my daughter at her school, and her teacher, who's just an amazing, maybe the greatest teacher we've ever had the experience of having in our world, handed me her books a couple of days before Christmas and said, "Here you go, Michael." And I said, "What are these?" And she said, "Just in case we don't come back." And I knew that school would not be coming back again. I knew there would be lockdowns and shutdowns. So we went through it this first time, and it was January of that year after Christmas where Krista and I really started to notice our daughter having problems in terms of she wasn't seeing her friends. She hadn't seen her friends in weeks and months. The school that she was attending had been closed. Power skating that she was participating in was shut down. All the arenas had been shut down several times. Her hockey was shut down. She wasn't able to play hockey. Little things like piano lessons, her chess lessons, anything and everything social. All the restaurants were closed. We weren't able to do our Sundays with Grandma and Grandpa, you know, where they come and watch her play hockey, and then we go out to a Greasy Spoon diner and enjoy breakfast or brunch together. Even though we didn't follow many of the rules, it was like you were living in a ghost town. It was like you were living in a ghost society. We would go into the town, and you know, when all the restaurants and the parks and the pools, even her where she went for her equestrian lessons, like my daughter loves animals and loves horseback riding, and even the barn was shut down several times during the pandemic. My barber shop was closed 4 different times. It was just endless, and it was a mental battle for anybody. The energy was toxic. You know, you talk to a person, or you listen to the radio for a few minutes, or you check local news, and it's just the same toxic poison over and over again. So it was especially, as you know, brutal for a couple of areas of our society. One was our children, and number 2 was our people in long-term health care retirement homes. I mean, they were treated like people doing time in a federal penitentiary, and still are in some cases. But with our daughter Emery, we just noticed all kinds of negative behaviors. We noticed that she was struggling with attention span issues. She was sad. She was lonely for her friends. You can only hang out with your mom and dad so long at the lake when it's frozen in the winter. I built this big ass rink out in the bay right in front of us. You look out over our lake house, and our view is 4 miles straight up the lake. So we have one of the most incredible views in the world. So when that froze after Christmas, I would go out there every night with the garden hose. I had a hot water tap installed down by the beach, and I would stand out there in the minus 10, minus 20, minus 30 degrees Celsius weather, and I would flood that rink every single night. And Emery and I would go for a skate. We'd get our hockey sticks, and we'd go out there and skate for 45 minutes to an hour. And then on the weekends, sometimes we'd be out there for, 1, 2, even 3 hours outside in the fresh air and the sunshine, just getting out of the house. But regardless of what we did, we had good diet, we had a little bit of a routine going. There was something missing, and what really scared Krista and I to death was in the middle of that lockdown, that second or third lockdown, whatever that was. Emery was sitting on my lap one night, and I was reading her book before bedtime. And we do this every night. Krista and I read every night. But she was little then, and she was sitting on my knee in the chair, and I was reading her a book. Maybe I was reading her my book, How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in Business and Life. No. I used to read that to her when she was a toddler. She's too advanced for that now. So I was reading to her, and then she would read to me. And I noticed for the first time that she was stuttering. I noticed for the first time that my little girl was stuttering. And I mean, this is a kid that can stand up and speak, a kid that can stand up and give grace, who can do a toast, who can public speak. She has a vocabulary of a 45-year-old reader, and she's an excellent. She reads every day of her life, all the time. We have a rule in our family: minimum 10 pages per day, and sometimes she'll read over 50 to 100 pages of a book. So when she was sitting on my lap that night, it shook me to my core. She was trying to read, and she was stuttering, and she was going back and forth on the words, like she couldn't get them out. And I told Krista, and then Krista noticed when she was reading over the next little while, the same thing would happen. And I don't care what anybody says, what any expert says, or any therapist says, that's stress related. Most illness, 90% of illness is stress related, if not more. So all the ailments were stress related. I mean, my little daughter is stressed, has no school, hasn't seen her friends in months, can't play any sports. All her lessons, piano, chess, are all canceled. It's just abuse is all it was. Child abuse, and she had it better than a lot of people because Krista and I work from home. So it was a dark time for a lot of people, and a lot of people had it much worse than we did. So when the stuttering happened, I remember I was reading Matt Fury's newsletter, and I'm always studying his combat conditioning, all the different things he does for flexibility, mental health, peace, mindfulness, and he's a multiple world champion, so he knows what the hell he's talking about. El Furcat knows and speaks the truth. So I remember going on his website, and I'm like, what would Matt do in this situation if this was one of his two children? There's got to be something I can do more at home, because we're outside, we're skating, we're playing hockey. It's the snow is almost gone. There's more things we can do. My child is struggling, she's suffering. What can Krista and I do? How can we make this better? How can we turn this around? So it started with asking the right questions. So I went on to his website, mattfury.com, Go to mattfury.com and buy everything that he sells. Start with buying combat conditioning. If you have children or grandchildren, buy combat conditioning for kids. I subscribe to his newsletters. I bought all his different books. He's got stuff on there on email coaching. Just go there and check it out and buy everything the man sells and get on his email list. Get on his email list. He is the greatest, arguably the greatest email expert I've ever seen in terms of writing email copy that sells. There's nobody better. There's nobody better. Not even yours, Relentless. I've learned a ton from Fury. So I went there and I bought combat conditioning for kids. I didn't even know it existed. I was like, fuck, this is exactly what we need, because I was doing Hindu squats, I was doing Hindu push-ups, I was doing some other stuff myself mentally to try and stay in good mental and physical shape during this mess. And I said, okay. Krista said, we don't have school, we got to have a routine day, which we did. We had that fake online school that the children were forced into. The damage is done. Online school is fake school. It's not real school. We learn best in person. We learn best at live seminars. We learn best in classrooms. And in this case, Emery had never been on a screen before. She had never been on an iPad, never been on a MacBook, never been on a cell phone. We took pride in not screening her as a child. We immersed her in books. We lit that spark of reading. We made sure that she wasn't watching TV. She wasn't watching videos. She was books. And because of this, she had a voracious appetite for reading. When you take away the screens, like my friend, the great Dan Lizona says, Einstein Blueprint, when you take away all the screens, the tablets, the TVs, the videos, the cell phones, kids' brains are such little sponges that they absolutely crave knowledge. So then what do? They go to the next thing. They go to books. They go to art. They go to chess. They go to all these other things because their brains are sponges. So yes, when you do take away the screens, they move to books. They move to other activities where their brains can absorb knowledge. They're literally learning addicts until adults mess them up. So I bought Fury's book, Combat Conditioning for Kids. I remember it came in my mailbox a few days later, and I just tore into this little book. It was just a little book. And Matt had redesigned it for children. You know, with all the problems in our world before the China virus with children, with child obesity, child mental health issues, you know, child suicide, and then the China virus and the lockdowns just put all that on steroids. Now into the, you know, teen suicide is up 71% since 2020. 71% successful, age 12 to 18. So, you know, mental health, sadness, depression, anxiety, the medicating of our children, it's just endless. It's been an absolute open door for our mental health industry, for our therapist industry, for the big pharma industry to medicate millions, tens of millions of children. Every opportunity, right? In every black cloud, there's a silver lining for big tech and for big pharma medicating our children. So we did the opposite. I bought this book and I went through it and I was like, wow. I said, I could do this every day with my child. And I sat down with a legal paper and I just pad of paper and I just wrote out, okay, here's the 5 things, the 6 things we're gonna do every day, 7 days a week. Just like I walk, just like I read every day, just like I market and copyright every day. These are the things I'm gonna do every day with my daughter. And she was all for it. So she would get up early like I do and she would play and she would have her breakfast time. She loves her solitude time. And then we would head out. And the weather was pretty good. Pretty good. It was often sunny, a little bit cool, great for training. And this was all about mental health. It wasn't about physical health. Like, we were going to get in better physical shape, but this was about mental health. It reminded me about the great Cesar Millan when he works with dogs, and he says most of the problems with dogs are human related, where the dog doesn't have enough physical exercise. They're cooped up in a cage or an apartment all day, or you never get any walks, and then people wonder why there's such a problem with the dog. Well, the dog is literally caged because it has all this energy that hasn't been expended. So we would start with what Matt taught, which was a bear crawl. And Emery would get down on all 4, hands and knees, and so would I. And we would do what he called these bear crawls from the dock down at the water up to the driveway. About 50 yards. And Emery is a beast at these. Like, they used to do these back in the Green Bay Packer days. You know, Vince Lombardi and guys like that. This used to be part of football when football was football. And guys used to do bear crawls for the length of the field. Big linebackers, offensive linemen, tackles, doing these bear crawls, like literally walking on your hands and your feet, strengthening your fingers, your wrists, your shoulders, your back, your ankles with these bear crawls. So Emery would do 5 of them, I would do 5 of them, and then we would go down the driveway a little bit, and then we would do duck walks. Admittedly, I couldn't do these. I could not do these. From years of sitting and at a computer, not working on flexibility, I couldn't do them. But as a 7-year-old, Emery could do these in her sleep. And all a duck walk is you get down in a crouch, like a squat, and you walk from here to there, like in that squat, like you're a duck. And you literally, your knees are pointed out, and you waddle for 50 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet. And Emery would do 5 of these, and swinging her arms, and it was so good for the flexibility of her hips, of her knees, of her lower back. She loved doing them. You know, old people that are, you know, like steel can't do them. Now I can do them, by the way. I can now do a duck walk. I can't do them like Emery, but I can do them. My hips were all seized up from decades of not using them, of not moving like animals in the jungle. And man, these duck walks were a game changer. So after we do the duck walks and the bear crawls, then there was always a couple other things in the combat conditioning that we would do. You know, like old school stuff. We didn't need any weights. You shouldn't be using weights. It was all body weight exercises. And it was all, you know, all stuff we could do outside in nature, in the sunshine, the wind, the rain, the snow, the heat. And then we would always finish with our hill sprints. And I don't know if sprints aren't in combat conditioning for kids, but I remember Matt talking about it. So I was like, okay, good enough for Furcat, good enough for me. And Emery and I would go on the cottage road. There was this incline hill, and it was about 75 meters. And Emery and I would run that hill 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays were hill days. Just like Belichick does hills with his New England Patriots. Just like Parcells did hills with all his turnaround teams. We started doing these hills Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think we did 5 sprints each. Emery would go, walk down. I would go, walk down. So it was really, you know, sprint, rest for 4, or rest, you know, 1 sprint, 1 to 4 rest, 1 to 3 rest. And man, do these sprints, did they change my physical conditioning? Did they change my energy? And you should, like, I'm not joking when I say Matt Fury's program saved my daughter's life. Like, I don't know where we would have been with a couple more years of that. With 3 years of this horse shit, this, you know, government inflicted, unelected, healthcare, unelected bureaucrats, this stuff that was inflicted on society. I don't know the damage that could have been done to my daughter if we hadn't met Matt and done what he said. So we did this for months and months, all through until the peak of the summer. And then in the fall, school resumed, the rinks opened up, the swimming pools opened up, the parks opened up. My daughter was going to school every day. She had all of the things a kid needs to see: their friends, socialization, sports, athletics, art, everything. So Combat for Conditioning saved my kid's mental and physical health. It was just insane. Like, after a week, maybe 2 weeks of doing this every day, we go out, we do some bear crawls, we do some duck walks, we do some push-ups, we do some Hindu squats. One thing that Matt taught that my daughter is a beast at is the sitting squat. She just goes into the squat position. She just sits in a squat position. Test yourself. And I'd say, okay, 2 minutes. And she would just sit in perfect formation, head up, chin up, breathing deeply. And she would just sit in this squat. And then I said, okay, because I like to do 5 minutes a day in a sitting squat, doing my breathing. I said, do it for as long as you can. Push yourself. Well, she sat there, you know, most days for between 10 and 15 minutes. And she could have went a hell of a lot longer. She would just sit there and time herself and breathe. And then when she was bored, she'd stand up. And those just sitting squats are so good for your hips and for your joints and your muscles and your flexibility and your mental health. One last thing that really saved us was when they shut down the schools for a 3rd or 4th time in Canada. That's when we bolted to Naples. Last year, we bolted to Naples at Christmas. Right after Christmas, we came to the land of the free, Florida, because we were tired. We were tired of the scam. We were tired of the nonsense. We were tired of the manufactured unhappiness. And we just bolted to the land of the free. We'd never been to Naples before we came here last year. We rented a house for 4 months. We put Emery in school here. We signed up for tennis and chess and all this other stuff. And then we bought a house since then, and we come here every year after Christmas for 5 months. So one thing that Matt taught that I was doing, combat conditioning, is Hindu squats. If you don't know what a Hindu squat is, just check out Matt Fury on YouTube, search Hindu squat, and he'll show you how to do one properly. And also check out Hindu push-ups when you're there. So these have revolutionized my lower body. There's a saying in hockey and football, legs feed the wolf. Legs feed the wolf. So I'm a former professional and amateur hockey coach. I've owned a couple of my own team franchises. And all my teams the one thing I focused on as a coach every day in the weight room, during practice, whatever, was lower body power. You know, that's what a Sidney Crosby focuses on. That's what a Connor McDavid focuses on. That's what a Tom Brady focused on. That's what that's the real guys. Tim Grover talks about that with Michael Jordan. The legs feed the wolf. If your legs go as an athlete as you age, then you're done. If a fighter's legs go, if a boxer's legs go in a fight, he's done. An MMA fighter, their legs go during the fight, they're done. Your legs go as an entrepreneur. You're done. You're done. If the day you can't, legs feed the wolf. So we really focused on Hindu squats. And my daughter, when we got to Florida here, because she would be sitting, this was last year, she'd be sitting in a classroom for 6-7 hours. They don't have enough physical activity, or not even close. So I was like, what do you do for recess? She's like, we have 20 minutes. So I said, okay, what would Matt Fury recommend? And then that's where, whoa, time to head in. That's thunder and lightning. Gotta be a badass, you gotta be crazy to be out here. So I started, Emery would do Hindu squats in the garage just before she left, before we could drive her to school. And she would pound out 120 Hindu squats consecutively every morning, and then walk for a little bit, and then Chris or I would pick her up at the corner. Talk about badass. 120 plus Hindu squats in our garage before school every day. And this just got her body moving, got her muscles moving, got her heart and lungs going. And then she was, up and moving. Her motor was running for the day. So I shared a little bit this with Matt personally, but I wanted to share this with my brotherhood because it just shows you the amazing good people that are out there, the good mentors, the good coaches, the good people that are there to help. There's a lot of bad advice out there now, but there's still guys like Matt Fury that teach to help, teach to serve people, teach, good physical conditioning, good mental health, guys that are making a difference. And in our case, he made a difference in all of our lives, but especially my daughters. So, when a man helps you with something like this, what do, right? Well, I will always be indebted to Matt. Matt is a subscriber of the Michael McLean letter, and I will always be in debt to Matt Fury because of the fact he helped my child. He helped my child. The stuttering went away in a couple of weeks. All of the other stuff that she was struggling with, the focus issues, the stuttering, the low energy, all of it went away. All of it went away within a couple weeks of this morning routine. Doing the bear walks, doing the duck walks, doing the Hindu squats, doing some push-ups, doing some sprints, walking outside. It all went away. It all went away, and I owe a debt of gratitude to Matt for that. So this is part one of my Matt Fury story this week. I'm going to have a part 2 tomorrow that you're going to love. But I just wanted to start with gratitude for the man who certainly changed our family's life during the China virus, and certainly had a big part in saving my daughter's life. I don't know what we would have done if we didn't have those tools to help her with her physical and mental health during the lockdowns and the pandemic. So that's it. Like I said, if you're not subscribed to the Michael McLean letter, you can do so now at michaelmcleanletter.coach. If you upgrade to diamond level, $197 a month. That's chump change for a badass millionaire. I'll send you one of these lids. Very comfortable, first time I've wore it, and as a bonus. So if you sign up, I'll send you one of these badass t-shirts, but I'll also, if you upgrade to diamond, I'll send you one of these red lids. And I'll be sending one of these to all my existing diamond level guys, brothers as well. So if you're a diamond member, I'll be shipping one of these to you in the next month. And if you want one of these, I got about 15 of them made. Subscribe at michaelmcleanletter.coach. Make sure you upgrade to diamond. I'll send you a free t-shirt and a free BadAss ball cap. I gotta get out here. There's gonna be a big storm. I'm gonna have to drink my coffee inside today. Yours Relentless doesn't like that. michaelmcleanletter.coach. michaelmcleanletter.coach. And of course, mattfury.com. Get the combat conditioning. Get the combat conditioning for kids. Get on his email list. Follow this dude. Man, it's going to help you. It's going to help your wife. It's going to help your children, your grandchildren. Just being around other champions. Guilty by association. mattfury.com. michaelmcleanletter.coach. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.